Hello class! Today we are talking about another kind of folktale or traditional story. This one is called a myth. Myths are very important. A myth is a made-up story from long ago that tells something about nature. It tells why something happened. Myths often begin with the words long ago. This myth right here begins with those very words. It says, long ago, Bear had a long tail. One day he wanted to catch some fish. Do you see Bear? Look at his tail go into the water. He's trying to catch fish. His tail got stuck in the ice. Now bears have a short tail. I think Bear fell asleep. His tail got stuck, and when he stood up, it came off. Now he has a short tail. A myth often tells why something in nature happens. Another myth I have heard tells why rabbits have long ears. So this story is called How Rabbit Got His Long Ears. Long ago, Rabbit had tiny little ears, but Rabbit always wanted to know what the other animals were doing in the forest. He crouched behind bushes and rocks, scampered into the tall grass, and hid behind trees so he could hear what they were talking about. But because his ears were so small, he never heard things quite right. He misunderstood what the other animals said. I heard that Frog is angry at Moose, he said, but that wasn't true, and both became angry at Rabbit. I heard that Squirrel doesn't like grasshoppers cooking, he said, but that wasn't true, and both became angry at Rabbit. Soon Rabbit had very few friends. The other animals were tired of all the rumors, so they stretched and pulled and stretched Rabbit's ears until they were nice and tall. There, they shouted. Now when you listen to us talk, at least you'll hear what we are really saying. And that's how Rabbit got his long ears. Some myths are just really cool stories. So let me show you this picture. And this one is the story of a man named Midas. He was a king, and he got a wish. His wish was that he could touch things and they would turn to gold. At first, things went really well. He touched a tree, and now he had a gold tree. He was rich. He touched a rock, and now he had a big gold rock. It was nice to have the golden touch. King Midas went home for dinner, and he went to go pick up his food, and it turned to gold. Everything he touched turned to gold, so all of his food was now gold, and he couldn't eat it. Oh, how sad it was. There are a few versions of this myth. In some of the versions of the myth, he gives his daughter a hug and turns her to gold, and he is so sad. In some versions of the myth, he can't touch any food because it all turns to gold, and so he starves and dies. In other versions, he tells the person who gave him the wish, he tells the person, I don't want this anymore. So they tell him to go wash in a river, and it washes that golden touch off of him, and he can restore things back to normal. Well, myths are really fun. Myths can answer questions and tell us interesting stories, and they are just really interesting too. Maybe you can learn about some myths. Maybe you've heard about Hercules. He is part of the myths of the Greek gods like Zeus and Hera. Or maybe you've heard of other myths like why the mosquito buzzes in our ears. That's a good myth too. Well, I hope you enjoy learning about some myths and reading some fun stories. Before I go, though, I want to go over characters and events. Even in myths, you'll find characters and events. In this myth, the character is the bear. And the events are he goes fishing, he falls asleep, and his tail comes off. Those are some events. In this story, How the Rabbit Got His Long Ears, there were lots of characters, but the main character was Rabbit. You are right. Some of the other characters were grasshopper and squirrel, moose and frog. And the events were rabbit would listen to other animals. He would tell the stories wrong. The animals got mad at him, and eventually they stretched his ears out so that he could hear the story the right way. In the story of King Midas, the characters are King Midas and his daughter, and the events are he could touch things, they would turn into gold. And then the other event was bad. He didn't like when that would happen. I hope you can keep looking for characters and events in everything you read. I will see you again soon. Bye!